welcome to TCT time!
Yay!
Yay! Today we've got our wonderful crew, Emma, Ian, and John, as well as myself, Shizuka. And today we're going to be talking about katakana words that a lot of Japanese people expect us to understand because they think it's normal English. This comes up a lot. Like every single day, someone might say something to you in like a Japanese-ified English, and you're expected to know what it means, but you're just like, I've never heard this before in my life, and it throws you off completely. Have you guys had any interesting experiences or like specific words that you completely didn't understand?
Yes, I think first of all we should just quickly explain katakana just in case you guys don't know.
Good point. Thank you.
But yeah, katakana is one of the alphabets you can use for Japanese language, and it's used when it's using a word in the Japanese language that is a borrowed word. So say it's from English. So say what is this?
How would you say Disneyland using katakana?
Disneylando.
Yes,
Okay.
actually it'd be Disney. Yeah, you're right. That's
Yeah.
fine. Disneyland. I thought there was gonna be like a G in there
Like
somewhere.
Disney.
And also Disney She.
Disney She.
Yeah, instead of Disney Sea.
Yeah. So it's all words that are borrowed from other languages. So it's not just English. So I'll just do an example. Like a part-time job here is called an arubaito or a baito.
Good one.
So sometimes you might be expected to know that because it's a borrowed word. They might think that it comes from the English language. It's like, oh, it's a borrowed word. You might understand it, but I have no idea what baito is.
Right.
Yeah, is it German?
German,
It's
I think.
German.
Yeah.
It comes from like Arbeit.
Arbeit, yeah.
I can't do the German accent, but yeah, it's supposedly German.
But it's converted. It's giving a sound to those foreign words using the 48 sounds in the Japanese language. Yeah, don't.
But it's something like that.
Good voiceover, that one. But I think the number. What is that? But basically using the Japanese sounds to as close as they can get to sounding up as well.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So sometimes you will be expected, or not expected. It's just kind of like a shock if you don't understand. Like, but I thought that was an English word because it's a borrowed word. Why isn't it able to be understood? That kind of thing.
Right.
So we put a couple of words that it's like strange conversion. I'm not sure.
And sometimes they do sound like a real English word,
Yeah.
but they just don't mean what you think it means.
Yeah.
And that happens quite a lot. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes words that are quite similar as well.
Yes.
Where they get converted into katakana, they almost sound like a different word in English.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And sometimes they shorten them as well.
Very true.
I remember my first year in Japan being very confused when I got invited to a biking lunch.
Biking.
Biking.
Are you going biking? Are you a
Viking?
Viking.
It is from Viking. Yes, yeah, Viking is the word, and
I guess they eat a lot.
That must be where it's from, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I
They
guess.
thought Vikings just ate a lot because
Imagine.
in Japanese, if there's a biking set or biking lunch, biking dinner, it means all you can eat. And I remember reading somewhere, or it might have been a friend of a friend, I can't remember, but I remember a guy got invited to a biking dinner for his company. And he thought it was like a theme thing, so he didn't go full.
Oh, good lord!
He didn't go full mental. He didn't like dress up in the Viking, but he wore like a Swedish soccer shirt because and he went there, and
still tame.
and it was like a suit and tie, black tie event, and like a guy, and he had to give a speech there, and he was the one random guy wearing like a football shirt. So just an example.
Did it not cross his mind why he had to come dressed as a Viking?
I think that happens in Japan, right? Viking themed.
Viking dinners.
I guess even if you ask like why Viking, they'd be like, oh, it's so common here.
Well, that's
You'll
the thing.
love it.
And you
Everybody
don't.
loves
And the
Viking.
thing, when you hear these things, I guess there's a tendency not to kind of question it too much. Like you
Yes.
don't want to be the one who's like,
Right.
it's just all right. Viking.
Yeah.
Biking is all you can eat.
Right.
Yeah. I remember one I was a little confused with was imeji. So I often see in menus and like in pictures, この写真はイメージです.
Yeah.
This photo is an image.
Yeah.
And I was like, duh.
I know.
Of course it's an
I
image.
know.
I was so confused. But imeji here is kind of like either like the artist's rendition or like a picture perfect, like what you receive may not be exactly matching this picture. It's that kind of feeling or meaning to it. I
Exactly.
think. Do you guys get the same?
Exactly.
Is that-
I think
okay.
so.
Yeah.
Imeji is usually like an imagination, like some
What
kind
you're
of
envisioning.
right, an
My
envision,
image. Yeah.
an envisionment would be
Yeah.
an imeji.
Yeah, so when they say this photo is an image, it's, this is what it could look like, but it might be a little bit different. Like,
Right.
this is the ideal picture, so don't be disappointed, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the actual product might not look exactly like this. Like, it's the same as in English saying below a picture, like, product is not exactly as
Yes,
shown.
yes.
Like, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's an imeji.
It's an image.
Also, they use image for, like, to imagine things. Like, imeji suru would be to imagine.
Imagine, or like,
Um,
come up with your image.
Yes, and I've noticed a lot of Japanese people who are speaking English and they'll say image instead of imagine. So they'll be
Oh.
like, I image this great place. And like, so they're imagining it, but they say image. That's a very common like
Yeah.
misuse of the word as well.
Yeah.
But it basically means to envision and imagine.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a good one. But did you guys ever come across any others that were super confusing that you just had no idea what they were talking about?
I guess it's a really simple one, and probably one that a lot of people might already know. But when you hear people say pasokon,
Pasokon. Yeah.
and it's like in a lot of your like Japanese textbooks, if you do study Japanese, they'll always just say computer,
Which is.
which means obviously computer.
but then there's also it's like there's pasokon and computer, because I always
Yes.
thought pasokon just meant computer, and then I found
Yeah.
out that there was computer, and I was like, oh no,
Yes.
what have I done?
And now.
I missed something.
and it clearly must just come from personal computer, like PC. But
Yeah.
at the
Personal
same
computer, pasokon.
exactly, but where it's been shortened, it suddenly doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many
So
Japanese
true.
words that combine two words and just cut them in half.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we can include this one. You can imagine it if we have to bleep it out. But First Kitchen. So there's a chain here called First Kitchen, Fasto Kitchen. So you take the fa and the kin from the kitchen. Yeah. So they combine those as well, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of words that combine two words together. It's just easier.
It's same with like Family Mart, the convenience store. They call it
Yeah.
Famima. They just take the
Famima,
first
yeah.
sound of each word and
Famima.
make it a short, easy word.
Those ones you might not necessarily be expected to know. Though.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Those are
people
different.
would
like
like
brands.
say it's confusing even when you've got a good idea of what it means. Trying to figure out what two words is that kind of
Yes.
does that kind of come about from.
Yeah.
Exactly. But some other ones that are common are like baby car.
Baby car, yeah. It's just a stroller,
Yeah.
but little baby car.
Baby car.
Car for a baby.
my
Where's he
baby's
going?
car. He's taking his car out. That's a very common one. They'll just say baby car. What are some other ones?
One that really confused me, I remember this, was going to a restaurant once. Mine seems to mainly revolve around going to restaurants. But there was one where I think I had to wait a long time. Or something like that. There was a problem with the order or something like that. And the guy came over and he brought me like a little salad that I hadn't ordered. And he said, service. This,
Yeah.
Oh.
it's service. To which I immediately thought, like, service charge? I have to pay more for this? This is but in Japanese, when they say it's service, generally it means it's on the house. It's for free.
It's
for
free. Exactly.
So anytime you hear service, people would generally, you being a foreigner, you would be expected to think that means this is for free.
Yeah, yeah.
They think
So-
that you would understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's
So yeah,
English.
I remember. I think I went to a hotel when I came here on holiday, and they brought me some like tea and some like little sweets, and they're like service desu, and I was like. They're like service. I'm like, okay.
I still don't understand.
This is an interesting service.
This is a service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just it's like on the house, that kind of feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But on the contrary, you need to be careful of when things say free on it, because free doesn't usually mean free of charge, especially if it's on clothes. Like if you go shopping, there's a lot of
Yeah.
sizes.
Oh, free size.
Free
size.
size, which is one size fits all,
Yeah.
but they say free size. And sometimes just to shorten it, they'll put on the tag free.
I like to imagine someone in like Forever 21 just taking things off.
Yes, I love Japan.
Yes, more. that can be very
Oh, yeah.
confusing, understandably.
Yeah.
Service would be like it's on the house, but if it says free on a tag or something, don't just take it. Double check.
Check.
And a lot of times, I guess you can say this about most languages. I know we do it in British English, but you borrow the name of brands to represent like that object.
Right.
In Japan, Hotchkiss.
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 Is stapler. If you,
Yeah.
you wouldn't hear
That's one that I only just remembered actually because we were discussing this earlier.
Hotchkiss.
Yeah, Hotchkiss.
Had you
No.
heard that before?
I have, but only just now I remembered
You'd
that.
expect
Yeah.
it.
It's
I think,
very difficult to remember.
I
things
think
like that.
Yeah.
majority
Yeah.
of Japanese people might not realise that that's a brand. That's just what you call a stapler in
Yeah.
foreign countries.
Hotchkiss, the brand, must be very happy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a whole
Absolutely.
language uses their brand name as.
And-
As
a-
yeah.
absolutely.
I thought it was actually the person who made it, like who invented the
Maybe.
stapler.
But I think that's the X-ray for sure, though.
Yes.
What's
That's another good one.
You might know what's that called again?
Lentogen.
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 Dr. Lentogen. The X-ray is forever immortalized in
Yes,
Japan. But
that's
yeah.
Totally more. Also, there's a similar one, gibusu.
I don't know that one actually.
Have you ever heard
Gibusu.
this? A gibusu is a cast. And apparently
Was it invented by
gibusu-
someone called Gibbs?
I really hope
Oh,
it was.
Gibbs.
Gibbs.
I think it may have been, or it's also like another. It comes from another language. I
Wow,
think.
like a hospital, like if you break your arm. or something
Yeah,
like
you'll
that.
get a
Oh,
gibusu.
Oh, wow.
A gibusu. I hope it was
Wow.
Dr. Gibbs.
Wow. Yeah.
Probably.
Probably is. So yeah, so that's not,
It might
not
be.
a bad guess. I remember meeting someone, and it was a guy who worked for my previous company, and he lived in Omotesando, which is a really trendy part of Japan. So I thought, wow, this guy must be quite rich and quite well. Then he told me he lived in a mansion
Oh.
in Omotesando. Wow, this guy's
Oh my
rich.
god!
And then, just to make it even more confusing, I remember we had a meeting, but he had to run off because he told me he's getting the limousine to the airport. I'm like,
Oh my god!
King of Japan, I'm hanging out with it. But just to clarify those things, a mansion in Japan is an apartment. It's not a big. I don't know how that.
Could be
Okay.
just any
Mansion.
regular
Yeah.
apartment is
Yeah.
a mansion.
It's a mansion. Limousine is actually a brand of shuttle bus in Japan that
Get to the
is
bus.
actually the cheapest way to get to the airport, but not as I imagined, like a big stretch car pulling through like
God.
Shibuya streets and
He
just,
struggled to do that.
yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, any
That's a
other?
great one. He just painted a whole amazing
And then it was shattered in
image of himself. Yeah.
Turns up in his bright orange bus.
So good.
No, I remember one that I expected to understand it. Mail, made it. I always thought it was just mail, so I thought it was to do with posting a letter. So when I went to the post office, I'd be like, "Mail de onegaishimasu," and they'd be like, "Excuse me?" It's email. It's email, not mail. And it took me ages to be able to separate the two. 'cause I was like,
Exactly.
Similarly,
Yeah.
they have short mail. Short or mail.
Oh, I don't know
It's
short
like-
mail.
Like text message.
Yeah.
Oh, that's short mail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A text message is short mail. An email is mail. Post is yubi. So they have three totally separate words.
Yeah.
Yeah, very confusing. Short mail.
Because I went around for a long time just literally saying email. And
Email,
people just
ah.
didn't know what I was talking about.
Right,
It's like-
they don't even put the E on it and they
No.
don't understand. Ah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting
Could be
one.
any type of mail.
Similarly, biker is almost exclusively reserved for motorbikes.
Motorbikes.
That's right.
If
Yeah.
you say biker like bike parking, you might not be able to get in there with the regular. I guess,
Yeah.
but it's a weird one because for actual bicycle, you tend to use the Japanese word, right?
Yeah, did you?
Jitensha.
You wouldn't use but biker, autobike is
Autobike.
another one, but it's biker is almost like the shortened version of autobike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost exclusively talking about motor.
That's right. That can be very confusing, especially when because I also teach English, and sometimes I'm trying to explain that I rode my bicycle somewhere, and I'll say I took my bike, to that. Like I rode my bike, but they automatically imagine
Leather
like
jacket.
me, on my motorcycle. I'm like, no, I'm not that cool. I'm just like riding my mamachari like with the basket on
You
it.
have a mamachari?
I have a mamachari.
Mamachari, that's another one.
That is a good one. Mamachari, but that's like a.
It's katakana, it's gotta be katakana, right?
But it is. But
Chari-
chari is
chari
a Japanese
yeah.
word.
Mum's
for-
I heard that it
Bike.
was for chariot though.
I thought so too, actually.
Give me a moment.
Let's
This is
try
chariot.
that. That's a new thing.
While Emma's checking, actually talking about bicycles,
Mm-hmm.
you ever had a punker?
Yes,
You'd be
I
expected to
know
know
punker.
punker, which is a puncture. So that's another one you'd be expected.
It comes
to
from puncture. I
you not
never
know?
knew
Okay.
that. No, they would just say like punk.
You're a punk? What have
No,
you
no,
done?
they'd be like punkushta. I knew what it meant,
Yeah.
but like I didn't know where it came from.
puncture.
It's
From
from
puncture.
puncture. That makes so much sense. And sometimes I would try to. Like, I couldn't remember the English word for it, too, so I'd just be like, yeah, I punked my bike. It's puncture! Okay, that makes so much more sense.
It comes in with a massive afro or something. Leather handle.
Oh my god.
Were there some others?
How would you say a power outlet or a plug socket in Japanese?
Oh.
Consento.
Consent.
Yeah.
Consento.
If that's another
Get
one you'd be
consent
expecting.
to use the consent.
Yeah, I always think about that when I'm like, it's okay. Is that weird?
Is it okay?
What's that from? Do you know, like
I think historic. I may be completely wrong about this, but I think historically they used to be called
Consents.
It sounds like it could have been
because
a...
it's something like concentric power outlet. Or,
Okay.
I have no idea. I'm making that up. But
Okay.
Okay.
there's something to do with it actually coming from English, but it's so antiquated that everyone just calls it a power outlet or a
Interesting.
socket if you're from the UK.
Yes, we always say the same things in Canada as well. Like a power socket. Power outlet is probably the most common.
Yeah.
Yeah, but consent seemed like it could be something that actually did come
Might
from
have.
how we used
Yeah.
it. Like it seemed very like proper English to me in a way. Just a little outdated, I guess. But also, I had a couple others. One that would really, really confuse me when I first came to Japan was high tension. Did you get that
High
when you
tension,
got
yeah.
here? Did people say that to you?
You can kind of work it out.
Based on
But
the
it's-
context.
Exactly, but it's another weird one.
Yeah.
Of just you get some of these, they're English words, but you just would never say that in English because you
Exactly.
sound weird.
Yeah. And also,
tension.
tension is like, it's the opposite meaning. Like,
What would it mean in Japanese if someone said high tension?
high
What would that-
tension. It means to be very, very like energetic and exciting.
Right.
So if someone's like, screaming and chanting, you'd be like, oh, high tension da ne, or tension takai ne, which is like tension but high,
Yeah.
using the Japanese word. But they used the word tension, which really threw me off. Like I could understand the situation they're using it. Like he's like really excited, but why are you calling him tense? Because he's definitely not. Tension is like more like the room is tense. It seems completely the opposite. So that took me a little while to figure out that was like a common way to say excited.
Excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing is like when you're in the kitchen, for example, and you've got all your different appliances and things. One thing that kind of confused me a little bit to start with was how you may know a microwave is called a denchi renji in Japanese, and sometimes they even shorten that to just renji. And it kind of just means electric range, which kind of makes sense. But when someone just says renji to you,
Yeah.
I just automatically assume it's like a gas burner, like a traditional old
Like a
style
range. Yeah.
Right.
that's what my
fire
image is.
range or something. So yeah, there's lots of ones in the kitchen that kind of catch you out.
Lots. The other would be like stove. Stove is what like a stove for me is like a countertop stove, like
Yeah.
where you do your
Yeah.
cooking.
Yeah.
But actually, when you say stove, when they say stove, they're talking about like a portable heater. Like
What? Okay, I didn't
That's,
know that.
that's new to me too.
Yeah, oh,
that's
that's
a new one to
new,
me. I didn't
really?
know.
I didn't know that one.
Stove.
yes, those portable like little heaters that they use to warm the room. Sometimes they're gas. Nowadays usually the gas ones are called stoves. So
But I
that's a
have
stove.
seen those gas ones. Sometimes they put a kettle on top as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll help me associate stove with
Yeah,
these little guys.
it kind of makes more sense if there's a kettle. They'll heat their kettles on the gas stove, just because I don't know. It's well, I mean, it's a good use of energy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
instead of like turning on the
I'm sure that was just a case of someone says, yeah, I just put my kettle on the stove.
Yeah.
They just put it on
Like,
there.
oh, this is also a
On
stove.
their
on
heater.
this on their heater.
Yeah.
It's all just so confusing.
One which I'm sure all of you heard within a very short period of being here, because it's just a hilarious one, is I went first time I went snowboarding, so I was in Japan, and as you do when you first start, you fall and you hurt yourself, and I remember I fell on my bum and hurt it quite badly, and I remember going in and people saying, oh, you hurt your hip. I'm like, no, hip's fine. It's absolutely fine, no problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, the word hip in Japan is literally
It's butt.
your backside, right? It's,
Yeah,
You know what?
your
I
butt.
didn't actually know that.
Did you not?
This entire time I've had no idea.
Oh,
Really?
it's-
Yeah,
hip-
I always.
New
I guess
word.
I've
I
never
guess-
had to interact with anyone
talking about your
But-
hip going as well.
Yeah.
I
That's
guess
a good
I
thing.
mean,
you have
it's-
to be a bad snowboarder to.
Yeah.
True.
Once and never again, basically. I hurt myself that badly. But yeah, hip. If you hear people saying that, if you think of your hip, how's your hip? Is it like go to a doctor
Yeah.
checkup? It's not actually talking about your hip.
You know what?
Yeah.
I actually.
Yeah.
So
So,
I
so
went.
does
I
something
went,
make sense now? Did something happen?
I went snowboarding.
Oh.
I went snowboarding and I fell on my butt so many times. It hurts so bad.
Yeah, it does.
I talked to my Japanese teacher and she was like, "Oh, so your hip was real bad." I was like, "Yeah, I guess, but it's mostly my
Close,
butt."
I guess, but it's more my butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always like this disconnect where you're not
Makes sense.
understanding
exactly.
each
It's
other.
Yeah.
close, but it's.
I was like, "How did you miss out? How would I have fallen on my hip while snowboarding?" I like clearly fell backwards. That all makes sense now.
It all makes sense. It took me a little while to figure out too, but there were many, I have experienced several cases where they were trying to refer to your butt in like a polite way, and they'd be like, hippuga, and I'm like, but they always say like singular. Like it's never
yeah,
like hips.
Yeah.
your one hip.
Yeah, exactly. So it eventually clicked that like you're talking about your butt.
Wow.
Ah, it's so
I
confusing.
learned so much today.
So much. But that might be even a good place for us to wrap up today. There are so
Yeah.
many more.
So many.
They're not Anglicisms, are they Japanesisms? Is that what we can call them?
Japanesisms.
No.
That'll do.
let's
It's
go with that.
a Japanesism. Many more Japanesisms. Like I still have a whole list of things that I could talk about, and they're all so surprising, and we'll probably learn some new things out of it next time
Absolutely,
too.
yeah.
But let's consider this part 1. But yeah, I hope you guys learned some new good words out of this, and let us know which ones you already knew or like were surprised to hear, or if you have any new ones, like let us know in the comments. But don't take all of our ideas because we have some for the next video. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us, guys. See you guys in the next TSU Tea Time. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.